Did you know that some muscle cars from 1970 can run faster than some of today's cars on the road? Now, it's true, and in today's video, I'll be telling you about 8 of the fastest muscle cars from 1970. So buckle up and let's hit the road. Number 8, the AMX 343 Typhoon. Kicking off our list is the AMX 343 Typhoon, a car that proves you don't have to be famous to be a beast. While the world was drooling over Mustangs and Camaros, AMC was quietly cooking up a sleeper muscle car that packed a serious punch. Under the hood, the Typhoon came with a 343 cubic inch V8 engine, hence the name. It delivered 280 horsepower, which might not sound like much compared to some of its high-powered rivals, but this thing was light. And when you combine a decent V8 with a smaller, lightweight body, you get a car that moves. The AMX 343 could launch from 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, which was pretty solid for a car that wasn't on every teenager's bedroom wall. But one of the best things about the AMX 343 was that it was a 2-seater, making it one of the more unique muscle cars of its era. While every other muscle car had back seats that nobody actually wanted to sit in, the AMX ditched them completely. AMC figured, why weigh it down with extra seats when you only need 2 to have fun? So pretty smart thinking on their part. Number 7, the Camaro Z28 350 LT1. Now let's talk about a Camaro, because no muscle car list is complete without one. And not just any Camaro, I'm talking about the Z28 350 LT1. I mean, this thing was built to eat up the road and leave tire marks as a signature. At the heart of the Z28 was the 350 cubic inch LT1 V8 engine, and it was no slouch. With 360 horsepower under its hood, this Camaro could take off like a bat out of hell, reaching 0 to 60 in just under 6.5 seconds. Now, that was some serious speed back in the day. But the Z28 wasn't just about raw power. Chevy designed it with handling in mind too. Unlike some muscle cars that only knew how to go straight really fast, the Z28 could actually take corners without embarrassing itself. That was thanks to its upgraded suspension, better weight distribution, and the engineers at Chevrolet actually caring about making a car that performed on the track, not just in a straight line. And let's not forget the styling. The Z28 looked aggressive with bold stripes, a mean stance, and that unmistakable Camaro attitude. Even today, the Z28 350 LT1 is highly respected among classic car lovers, so if you ever get a chance to drive one, don't pass it up. Just make sure you're ready for the attention, because in a car like this, people are gonna stare. Number 6, the Mustang Boss 302. Next up is the Mustang Boss 302, a name that just screams power, rebellion, and a little bit of recklessness. But this wasn't just another Mustang, no sir. The Boss 302 was built to dominate, and it did exactly that. Under the hood, this beast packed a 302 cubic inch V8 engine, officially rated at 290 horsepower, but let's be honest, Ford was lying. Most experts agree that the real number was closer to 350 horsepower, which made a lot more sense given how this thing performed. With a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of about 6.5 seconds, the Boss 302 was more than just fast. It was quick, agile, and ready for action. Ford built the Boss 302 for Trans Am racing, and they weren't messing around. This car wasn't just a pretty face. It had a stiffened suspension, upgraded brakes, and a manual transmission that begged to be pushed to its limits. If you wanted a Mustang that could handle as well as it hauled, this was the one. Despite all its strengths, the Boss 302 wasn't just about speed. It had character. It had that raw, unfiltered driving experience that modern cars just don't have anymore. No fancy computers, no electronic assists, just you, the car, and your ability to keep it under control. It was the kind of ride that made you feel alive every time you hit the gas. Even today, the Boss 302 is one of the most beloved Mustangs ever made. Number 5, the Challenger TA 346 pack. Sliding into 5th place is the Challenger TA 346 pack. But this wasn't just any Challenger. It was Dodge's battle cry in the pony car wars, where every automaker was flexing their muscle to dominate the streets and racetracks. The TA in the name stood for Trans Am, not because it was some sort of gender-fluid vehicle, but because it was built specifically to compete in the SCCA Trans-American Sedan Championship. You know, back when racing was all about brute force and not just aerodynamics and hybrid nonsense. At the heart of this beast was a 340 cubic inch V8 engine, which might not sound like much compared to the big block monsters of the era, but here's the kicker. It had a 6-pack triple carburetor setup. That's right, 3 Holley 2-barrel carburetors feeding this thing like a pack of hungry wolves. Officially, it was rated at 290 horsepower, but let's be real, Dodge was lying through their teeth to keep insurance companies happy. This thing was punching way above its weight class, and insiders say it was actually pushing closer to 350 horsepower. Performance-wise, it could blast from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds, which was impressive for a small block muscle car, but straight-line speed wasn't its only trick. The TA also came with side exit exhaust, a fiberglass hood, a ducktail rear spoiler, and staggered wheels, all designed for better handling. Dodge didn't just want it to look fast, they wanted it to stick to the road like a bad tattoo. Number 4, the Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Alright, now we're stepping into the big leagues with the Plymouth Hemi Cuda, a car that was less about transportation and more about making an entrance. If the Challenger TA was a feisty middleweight fighter, the Hemi Cuda was a heavyweight champion with knockout power in both fists. Under the hood of this beast was the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, a motor so famous that even people who don't care about cars have probably heard of it. But this wasn't just any V8. It was hand-built with hemispherical combustion chambers, allowing for better airflow and more power. How much power, you ask? Well, officially Plymouth rated it at 425 horsepower, but again, insurance companies were the real villains back then. Most gearheads will tell you that the actual number was north of 500 horsepower. All that raw muscle translated to 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, which was terrifyingly fast for 1970. Oh, and keep in mind, this was happening on skinny bias ply tires and drum brakes. Basically, this car was begging to kill you if you weren't careful. But that's what made this car so cool. If you saw someone rolling up in a Hemi Cuda, you knew they either had serious driving skills or a complete disregard for their own safety. Now, looks-wise, the Hemi Cuda was a showstopper. It had bold stripes, shaker hoods, and an aggressive stance that made it look like it was flexing even when parked. It was loud, obnoxious, and unapologetically American. Everything you want in a muscle car. Number 3, the Chevrolet Chevelle SS454. Taking the bronze medal in our muscle car showdown is the Chevrolet Chevelle SS454, a car that didn't just compete in the horsepower wars, it ended them. If the Hemi Cuda was a heavyweight boxer, the Chevel SS454 was a wrecking ball strapped to a jet engine. Chevy knew they had to do something insane to stay ahead of the pack, so they went all in with the LS6 version of the 454 cubic inch V8. This thing was a monster, cranking out an official 450 horsepower, making it the most powerful production muscle car of its time. But again, that number was underrated because this thing was actually pushing closer to 500 horsepower, and with a few tweaks, it could easily hit 600 plus horsepower. All that power meant the Chevel SS454 could sprint from 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, which was bonkers in 1970. That's supercar speed today, but back then it was the kind of acceleration that melted tires, terrified passengers, and made insurance companies break out in cold sweats. But the Chevelle SS454 wasn't just about brute force. It had style too. The cowl induction hood, bold SS stripes, and aggressive stance made sure everyone knew this was no ordinary car. Inside the Chevelle SS454 wasn't exactly luxurious, but who cared? You weren't buying this car for comfort, you were buying it to scare the life out of Mustangs and Camaros at stoplights. Number 2, the Ford Torino Cobra. Coming in at our runner-up spot is the Ford Torino Cobra, a muscle car that had no interest in being subtle. While some muscle cars of the era were all about straight-line speed, Ford decided to mix things up by adding a little handling prowess to the equation. The result? A beast that not only looked menacing, but could also carve corners better than most of its competitors. Under the hood, the Torino packed a 429 cubic inch Super Cobra jet V8, which cranked out 375 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. Numbers made it a force to be reckoned with. This power plant, combined with a 4-speed manual transmission and a drag pack option, meant that the Torino Cobra could rocket from 0 to 60 in just 5.8 seconds. That was blisteringly fast for its time, and even today it would leave a lot of modern cars in the dust. In short, the Torino Cobra was the total package: speed, power, and handling, all in one aggressive-looking muscle car. Now at number 1, we have the Buick GS455 Stage 1. And now the grand champion of the 1970s muscle car wars, the Buick GS455 Stage 1. If you're scratching your head wondering how a Buick beat out all the big-name muscle cars, well, you're not alone. But that's exactly what made this car so legendary. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but under its unassuming exterior hid one of the most brutally powerful V8 engines ever put in a muscle car. The GS455 Stage 1 came equipped with a 455 cubic inch V8, producing 360 horsepower and an earth-shaking 510 pound-feet of torque, the highest torque figure of any American production car at the time. To put that into perspective, that's more torque than a 1970 Hemi Cuda and even some modern supercars. Thanks to all that raw power, the Buick could launch from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, making it a real speed demon of the 1970s. Now, what I want you to do is head to the comments and tell us which of these muscle cars is your favorite. And if you want more awesome content on muscle cars just like this, my channel is the only place to be. So thanks for watching, click that subscribe button and like the video, and we'll see you in the next one.